Okay. Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us in Shameless Explorations for Conversations with Coaches. Today I'm here with an amazing woman named Leah Newman. She is, I know her from the Erotic Blueprint community, Accelerated Evolution, plus we have really cool things in common. We both
Loads of cool things.
yeah, all of these really cool things in common. Outside of coaching world, we were both in the military, and we both love to live full-time and part-time and play in RVs. So right now she's in her awesome RV that she lives in full-time, and it's so playful. So we're gonna, of course, talk about RVing today because
Totally.
of course. And I'd love to introduce you to her concept of unstuck yourself. So Leah, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more and just tell us about you first?
Sure. I'm never very good at any of these things, so I'm just going to talk off the cuff if that's okay. As she said, my name is Leah Newman, and I was in the military for 18 years and retired about 6 years ago and started my own coaching practice, and also started living in this amazing RV with my two doggies. I'd show you them, but they're passed out over here. We have a great time traveling the country and exploring, and I love helping people in lots of different ways. And that's what Unstuck Yourself is all about. Unstuck Yourself came about because I had just heard one too many people, that reached out to me and were like, Leah, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my health. I'm stuck in my relationships, my finances, whatever, right? And I just started saying unstuck yourself, and here we are.
That's so great. I hear it all the time too. Like, I feel paralyzed. I don't know what to do next. Like, how do I even get out of this space that I've created? Or like, I'm just in a hole, right? So when you first started like exploring that, what are the greatest tools, I guess, that you found that like support people?
Well, I'm actually going to be doing a deep dive on that in a couple of weeks. We talked about that. We'll talk about that more later. But, I kind of come up with a system to get you out of your head and into your heart, because the answers are down here. A lot of times we'll say, oh, I need to think about it, or we spend a lot of time analyzing it, and we're all up in here. And the truth is, and I think you agree with this, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, disagree with me if you like, but the answer,
I know what's coming.
Right, the answers are all in here. We talk about, oh, I want to know, but the truth is you already know. It's in here. And so when you give yourself a moment to, I talk about the voices in your head, I call them the saboteurs, right? To me, in my mind's eye, they look like, do you remember that old cartoon? It was Spy versus Spy. The little pointy head dudes, and there's a black one and a white one, and it's a black and white cartoon, and they play games on each other and try and throw bombs at each other, and it's like these dueling little dudes, right? That create just havoc, right? To me, in my mind's eye, that's what they look like. And the voices in our heads, they're the ones that are just like constantly like and trying to get you to figure it out right now. Like, you need to know the answer right now. Or they're also the ones that stir up trouble. Meaning they're like, does Holly like me? Does Holly think I'm being a good interview right now? Oh my gosh, I hope her community loves me, right? Like right? And what I've discovered is my own little formula to get yourself, like, get them to, shut up, is breath, presence, and cup filling. And it sounds so super simple, but I needed to make it simple. It is simple on purpose, right? Because it needs to be simple, because you might be a mom with your kids screaming and these guys are going off and you're like, oh, you don't have time to go find a dark room with candles and supposedly the kids are going to be quiet for a minute so you can go sit in lotus pose and like aum. I mean, that's lovely if you have access to that, but I wanted to come up with a system to help people no matter where they were, no matter what was happening. And so breath, presence, and cup filling, those are 3 things you can do no matter where you are. And there's a whole spectrum of each of them, and that's what we'll be talking about on the webinar for sure. But breath can literally be something as simple as just like, and really letting it land. You know, even that is the first step to you taking your power back from these guys up here. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Actually, the breath is the number one thing that like every coach comes
Right.
on and shares, like to bring presence right away. Just like go to your breath because we're doing it all the time. And actually, I just realized that we skipped right over pleasure first. Because this is pleasurable, just chatting.
We're just having too much fun. Is what's going on.
Let's just get right to talking.
Let's just keep going.
Right? So what is pleasure first is the chat with the girlfriend.
Right. Sometimes it is, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my 3-part system, right, of breath, presence, and cup filling, I would include that as cup filling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can feed you and fill you. And when you're having that conversation with the right person, which I can already tell is happening here, it fills you up. It lights you up. You leave the conversation better than when you arrived.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a fun invitation, right? Like who in your life do you have that you can call? Just like, who do you call when you want to fill up? Who do you talk to? Who would like, and just have that conversation that lights you up. That's a great invitation for filling the cup.
Totally. And sometimes it's just a quick text.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have certain girlfriends, they can send me a friggin' emoji and it shifts my entire mood. You know, because there's that connection, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's times where you can have a 5-minute conversation. You know, my boyfriend and I are doing long distance right now, and he's in the process of packing up his entire apartment. So I'm just like staying out of it and letting him focus, right? And so our conversations aren't super long, but man, are they impactful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not always about the duration of time, but rather the quality
And the presence you can offer in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
And then, you know, so you can see how intertwined these things are, right? The breath can also give presence. The breath can also give cup filling. Presence, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and be present. You know, some people go for a walk in nature, which is also cup filling, right? And it gives them that presence. Here, you and I are talking, which is also a cup filling activity. And there's a lot of breath in that too, right? And we're having this moment where the rest of the world doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. These guys are quiet.
Yeah.
Because we're so dialed into what's happening right now. And it's just so powerful.
Yeah.
And with presence, there's also another tool that I'll offer, and I'll save that one for the webinar. It's a method of dialing into your presence that only takes 10 seconds.
All right.
10 seconds. And even if you did 6 of them back to back, it would still only take 1 minute and get you, like, get these guys to shush, get you in here, get you present, right? And so instead of these guys rambling on for days, weeks, months, or even years sometimes, you can shut them off, plug into you. And when you're here, you're just making much better decisions about everything.
Yeah.
Even if it's, I'm going to go to bed and figure this out tomorrow, right? It just gives you that bandwidth, that space to actually make some really great decisions versus these guys where you're just grasping at the first decision because you're just exhausted and overwhelmed. Like, shut up. Okay, I'll pick something, right?
I can see that that would be a great place for like filling the cup to come in, right? And I can see also where like if you're not filling your cup, how much presence are you ever going to be able to offer? So
Exactly.
you're intertwined in all of the ways, like, and if you're not filling one of them, then
Right.
you're going to be lacking in the others too.
Right. And it really is a lifestyle.
Mhm.
I'll add that too. I talk about these three things. You can certainly use them prescriptively, right? Like, ooh, I have a boo-boo, I'm going to put Neosporin on it to heal it, right? So, these guys are chatting and they won't shut up. I'm going to do some breath presence and cup filling and get them to shush so that I can hear what's going on in here, or I can make a quality decision about it instead of, you know, frantically grasping at straws for any solution that will get me out of this mess. So that's how you would use it prescriptively. But I also believe in using it proactively. Using all of these things, setting up a lifestyle, setting up how you show up to life, using all three of these, using them proactively so you already have bandwidth, ideally, right? That's not to say that stuff doesn't happen. I mean, let's face it, if you get in a car accident or your child gets injured or something catastrophic happens with a project at work, your baseline might be impacted still. You might still need a little bit of that prescriptive use. But when you create a lifestyle around this, it's just things don't there's nowhere for them to hook.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see that. And I'm actually like relating it to in my life, and I'm already going to go here. So for me, that creating that life, my first step to creating like a lifestyle without the hooks was I need to be free from like the day-to-day thing. And so that's how I ended up like going after, I'm going to be RVing. So how did you, because when you break it up with RVing, like I can have a new backyard whenever I choose to have a new backyard. Or like that's one of my favorite things about RVing, and the fact that I'm like out traveling with my daughter and seeing all these new things. But like I can see that that's a place where I took the hooks out. Like I'm not doing the mundane every day because that's not feeling good.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the shifts. Like, when I was leaving the Air Force, I was getting ready to retire. And they do household goods. And for everybody that doesn't know, that's when the military sends a whole bunch of movers, they pack all your shit, and they mail it somewhere, or they put it into storage for you. And they kept on saying to me, like, where do you want us to send your stuff? And I didn't have a good answer. Mm-hmm. I had never lived anywhere that they didn't tell me I was going to live. I had no clue where I wanted to live. And I was like, okay, step one, we're just going to put it into storage. Like, I'm going to just not even worry about that because I don't have an answer. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, but I want to know. And silly me, I thought I was going to get an RV for 1 year. And I was going to travel around the country one time and that I would know. I'm on my 7th year. Living full time in my RV.
Amazing.
It's too much fun. Like, to your point, you can change your neighborhood anytime you want.
Yes.
And I spent like the first like 4.5, 5 years, I spent like, I've gone around the entire country 5 times, the whole perimeter. And then I've done some little trips like up the East Coast, up the West Coast, right? God, it's been so much fun.
Yay.
So much fun exploring and so much fun throwing out the rule book.
Yes.
Right? This, and inherent in that question that they were asking me of where do you want us to send your stuff? Maybe you've encountered this too. It's fascinating to me that there is an expectation in our culture that you live in one place.
Yeah.
And the question that I get a lot as a full-time RVer is, where's your home base?
Right.
Or where do you live? My response is always everywhere. Because I don't claim a home base. Like, everywhere. Oh, and
Do you even have a storage shed that keeps you anywhere, or did you just get rid of it?
All of it. Yeah.
Perfect.
And the other funny question, maybe you get this too, people always ask, where do you get mail? As if that's really important. Well, it's really important for Amazon, let's be real. I buy Amazon. But you ask, like, how do people send you mail? I double dog dare everybody to look at your mail that you get in the next week and notice how much of it do you actually need to receive.
Right.
You'll be shocked.
Right. I actually took a good look at that because I have a home base.
Oh, do you?
I do. I have right now, actually, for about a year and a half, we've been kind of like, I was going to get rid of my RV. Yeah. I got mad at it. So I was just telling you about that trip when it broke. That trip when it broke, and I got stranded staying in these great homes on Hilton Head Island in Nashville.
No. Poor you.
I know, poor me. How sad.
Great examples. Like, even when things go wrong, they're going right.
Amazingly right.
And it really is your mindset around that. You know, so many people, like, I've had people stay with me when the RV breaks, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw some money at it, it'll be gone. In the meantime, let's go do something else. And they're like, wow, you're not upset? I'm like, it happens in your house,
right?
It's just a little less inconvenient for you because you have multiple bathrooms you can use, or you have multiple rooms you can go live in. Like, if something breaks in here,
you're in that broken place.
Yeah, hard broke. Right? But it happens. So what? So we get an Airbnb for a week, or
a furnished apartment for a month.
Right. It happens, right? Like,
take the food out of the fridge and go on.
Right. And press on with life, because there's better things to do in life than worry about why is it broken? How's it going to get fixed? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And so once you have that plan, then like look at the possibilities. Like, okay, well, like I'm stuck. Now what? What are my options?
First of all, you're never really stuck.
Right. Stuck. But then there's always something that you could choose, right?
I always believe too, you're there for a reason. When you're stuck, you're actually there for a reason. It's like the universe, the world, God, whatever word you want to put on it, is going, stop. There's something here for you. And sometimes the something here for you is the lesson in just throw some money at it and move on with your life. Right? Sometimes it's, wow, look where you are. Mm-hmm. You are not paying attention. I had that happen to me one time. I was going north. It's hands down my favorite part of this entire country. The whole country. And I've driven the whole country. It's the northern coast of California and the southern coast of Oregon. Mm-hmm. It is, like, I might cry. It is so beautiful and so pristine. Mm-hmm. We haven't screwed it up yet.
Yeah. We
And
took a drive down there like
yeah,
last year.
it's so beautiful. It looks like they created it for a movie set.
Hmm.
It's so perfect. Like walking in the forest in Oregon, I thought an Ewok might pop out from behind a tree or something. You know, I remember I was driving up there and I was on the phone with my mom. Don't worry, kids, I have a headset. And I'm driving, and I ended up having to get off the phone with my mom because I would go up a hill and come around a bend. And here's this vista of the ocean with these perfect pine trees and everything. I go, wow, whoa, holy cow, while I'm driving. And she's like, what? What's wrong? I'm like, I wish you could see this. And we ended up having to get off the phone because I was scaring her because it was beautiful. And when I got to my destination, it was something stupid. Something on my engine, like a cap popped off. It was something completely moronic that the guy parked next to me was able to come and look at real quick and kind of go, book, and there we were. But I ended up spending 3 days in this beautiful place that I was not supposed to stop in at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if I were a different person, I probably would have gotten really feisty about all of that.
Yeah.
And instead, I just called the nearest RV repair guy. He's like, I can't get there for 5 days. I was like, okay. Has anybody got spaces for me? You do? Yay.
Right.
And
So
it's just
freedom.
right. It's so much freedom and so much choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I really live by the notion of the best laid plans, right? Like in the military, we used to have a saying that the war plans won't make it past the first salvo, meaning the first firing of a weapon, the first launching of an aircraft, whatever plans you've ever made immediately go to poop, right? Because now everything has changed. There's things that you couldn't possibly plan for. So you have to be willing to, like, you know, roll with it. And RVing has been so good for me in that regard.
Yeah.
Really just embracing the unknown, the uncertainty.
Yeah, I'm so agreeing with everything you're saying. I can just like smile and nod. Loving that life. Yes, yes, yes.
Tell me about your RV. What kind of RV do you have?
We have a Class A mobile home. It's a Fleetwood Bounder Classic. So
Ooh, so yours is about the same size as mine then.
yeah, it's giant. It's like 36 feet, 30
Yeah,
feet.
36 feet as well.
Yeah.
And then do you have a tow behind at all?
Yeah, and since I was gonna get rid of it last year, I sold that one, so I just bought myself a new Jeep to tow behind, actually.
So
I
you
just
tow
dropped
four
it
on
off.
the ground?
What's that?
You tow four on the ground?
Yep. Hmm.
Oh, you're brave.
Oh, that's so much easier than the other things, I think, isn't it?
Oh, well, let me tell you.
Well, because I just dropped the Jeep off to get it its base plate.
So I watch people tow four on the ground,
Uh-huh.
especially gas RVs.
Hmm.
Gas RVs, I can't even imagine. It's got to be challenging because then you're navigating where the cars go. I have a diesel, so I'm able to go where the trucks go,
Hmm.
you know, and have the long straight lines. But I have a smart car, which is those little baby two-seaters, and I put it on an ATV trailer.
Mm.
And so I'm able to back up like for days, which is awesome.
See, I kind of suck at backing up with anything tow behind.
Oh,
So I
really
just go straight through things. Like, and if I don't make it, then I go around and go straight through again.
nice. Nice. My first RV was a gas.
Hmm.
It was also 36 feet. I still had the trailer, but it's one of the main reasons why I got a diesel, because I hated having to navigate gas stations in the same places that all those cars were going. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
That's actually one of the tough moves. So RVing is amazing,
So
and it certain points it's a job. Like
can be.
it's not the like
Finding RV spots, like if
yeah.
you are the type of RVer that likes to park in an RV park, which I do because I have 2 doggies that need their air conditioning. Hello.
Mhm.
They're very high maintenance pooches.
I'm a very high maintenance RVer. So
If it were just me, I would be fine without AC. My body likes it really warm, so I would be fine. But these 2, no way. No way, Jose. Um, and I like having water hookups,
Mhm. Yeah.
not having to worry about that. So, if you are the type of RVer that likes RV parks, you got to think in advance, especially during summer months and any holidays where I call them RV holidays.
Mhm.
Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, in particular, those 3. Thanksgiving week, if you're somewhere warm, those
Yeah.
types of things. You got to think ahead, and it really can be a job sometimes.
It is. I know. I've been making the phone calls now because we're planning our next moves. We're getting unstuck.
Yay! I'm starting to plan for the winter. I think we're gonna head down towards like Austin. I'm thinking Austin, maybe some Sedona,
Mhm.
little Phoenix action.
Yeah, I'm a weird kind of snowbird. Like we're in Arizona now in the summer. Huh?
You want to go north?
Well, we're actually, I think right now we're planning on going to Colorado because I'm gonna end for the winter. I don't know how to survive that in an RV. I'll learn it. And
Okay, do you want the tricks?
yes.
I know tricks. It's so helpful. It doesn't sound like it would work, but it works. I'm also a nerd. You need to know this about me. So I not only like took the tricks that they tell you on the internet, but I actually like got out a thermometer and tested if there was a difference. And there is. It's awesome. Okay, step 1, go get bubble wrap. A lot of bubble wrap.
Okay.
Okay. And then you take a squirt bottle like this one filled with water, and you're going to hose down your window. Just a light mist. It doesn't need to be dripping or anything. And then you take the bubble wrap and you put it on your windows and you cut it to shape
Mm-hmm.
so that it is perfect against the windowsill. And you do that for all your windows. And it creates an insulation barrier, which is really awesome. For your front window, they make it for houses that it's like a wrapping that you can put on your front window. For me, I put a layer of bubble wrap across the bottom half of my front window because I have this huge front window. So I figured, hey, it's a privacy screen too. Sweet. So I just put bubble wrap across the bottom half, and I left the top half so I could get some natural light. Do that on all of your windows. If that still isn't enough, those screens that you put in your front window of your car during the summer, the reflective stuff, get that and put that behind the bubble wrap on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
tape it to the sill.
Yeah, I have a bunch of that already. I have a bunch of that in there.
Yeah.
Because to keep the heat out.
So in the winter, so that's why I say put just the bubble wrap, because what it'll do is it'll keep the cold out, but it'll let the sunlight in.
Yeah.
So it'll help create some heat for you. But when it dips really low, you just want to keep everything out the best you can, and then heat from the inside. You need to heat from the inside. You also need a dehumidifier.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And then the other thing I'll tell you is go to like a fabric store and go get a bunch of fabric and just shove it under your slide. Because that'll keep the air from coming in from under your slide. Right? Yeah. And then the other one is I just went to the thrift store and I bought every ugly pillow that I could get for like 50 cents. And I shoved it underneath my sink so that where the pipes come in from outside,
Yep.
so that would be insulated. And then the last one, I have a thermometer, an indoor-outdoor thermometer, and it has a display. I can show you if you want. It has a display that has like magnets, and I just put that on my fridge. And then, so the one sensor is underneath my compartment so that I know the temperature under my compartment, like around my tanks and stuff like that. And then the other one is the interior temperature. And I have, so for when it's just kind of chilly, you know those like mechanics workman's lights, they're like yellow, they got a cage around it with a light bulb. Yep. For the most part, that will be sufficient. And you just put one of those under there, one or two of them, and you turn the light on, and it's sufficient to create enough heat that nothing will freeze under your RV.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you might need a space heater under there.
Yeah, I actually got, we stayed in Flagstaff one winter for a few days. And so I don't know what I'm thinking. But
yeah.
my daughter wants to go to school in Colorado. So I'm going to like rough it and see if,
using here.
if we can handle it. And then, but I have some space heaters that will go in the water compartments. Yeah. And
just
then,
little baby ones. It doesn't,
little teeny ones.
Yep.
And then I made a hose, like I insulated it and I put like the heated thing. So I have the heated.
You make heated ones, you know.
I know, but like they didn't have any when I was there for that. Like it just deep froze overnight and I had no idea it was happening. So like I went and made one at Home Depot.
That's awesome. I'm just like, ah.
I know. Right now I'm shopping on Amazon.
Already made. But they make these hoses, as you've seen. They're like fully insulated, and they have like a heating element that goes all the way through them. And then you just use like a pool noodle kind of. I mean, they make it for plumbing too, but like just to give everybody an idea of what we're talking about, it's like a pool noodle that you put around the faucet and the spigot and all of that, and you make sure it's fully insulated from the spigot all the way down the hose, all the way to the RV. And it's so silly, but these things, they sound like such a pain in the tuchus. But for $10,
right,
my entire house can move.
Yeah. So I'm going to tie that back in because like these little difficulties, right? I have to find where I'm going to live. I have to deal, like it's going to deep freeze tomorrow night and you're not prepared. Okay, well then what do I do? Okay, well I can go.
Let's get creative.
Yes, it's like adds so much excitement to life because like I don't know what's happening next. Like how can
I remember one night I grabbed like every sweatshirt, every sheet that I had. I was in Asheville, North Carolina, and it got down to like 10 degrees. So didn't anticipate that. And I just shoved everything that I had under that slide to keep it warm that night.
Right.
What an adventure, you know?
Right, what an adventure. But in like that could keep us so stuck. Like, oh, it got hard. Now I have to give up, right?
Right.
And I did get to that point of like, I'm mad at it. I'm gonna move on and find the next great adventure. But then come a year later, it like went full circle, right? Okay.
You're like, I'm ready to go again.
This is the next step. I'm going to go with that. Okay, this one isn't working. I can go back to this, or I can choose a new fun next step, right? That's the choice of creating and not being stuck in what we think is supposed to happen.
Right. God, it's so fun.
Yeah. Thank you for the tips of for winter. It is for me going to be a challenge because I don't like to be cold.
Well, and you know, I always say too, it's good to have a little reserve fund. I haven't had to use it yet, but have a little reserve fund for if you're like, okay, I need a break from RVing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the beauty of the world these days is Airbnb. Go get yourself an Airbnb for a week.
Yep.
Settle down and then come back to it. Right. But I love this life.
Yeah. That's actually a tip that I give people now because I work with parents
Mhm.
and they're like stuck in their house with their kids, right? But you don't have to be stuck. What, who says you can't leave the kid with their dad or another caretaker and go away
Right.
to an Airbnb for a weekend?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, who says you can't just like make a new choice that supports it? And Airbnbs exist and you can have your space, right?
And to that point, a common phrase in coaching is if you do the same things, you get what if you get what you've always got, right? And she's just encouraging everybody to do something different. If you don't like what's happening, do something different. Anything, choose something different to get a different result. And I've been in California for the last 2 years-ish. I kind of took a little mini trip out here to Colorado last summer and went down to San Diego for a couple weeks earlier this year. But this trip in particular has been really awesome because every time I move, I now have an opportunity for a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
I have an opportunity to do things completely different, whether it's by choice, like I decide I'm going to do something different, or just the environment creates that. And there's just so much learning and growth in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I really love it. Like, here I have a friend that has a gym, like, in his home. So I've just started, yesterday was my first day. I just started going back to the gym again, which I haven't done since I've been in the RV. And I've got a little of that delayed onset muscle soreness kind of stuff happening. Like,
Right.
right. It's not to say that I'm a very fit person. I'm very active. I walk a lot. I dance all the time, right? I go on hikes. Those are the things that I have found that I can do anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am in this new environment, and this new opportunity has presented itself. Like,
Yeah, how fun.
yeah,
You were just talking about how people think like I have to go to the gym every day. I have to have my coffee at this time. I have to do this at this time, and it gets stuck in that
yeah.
cycle, right? So what would you say is a great way to break it?
Literally just fuck everything up. Like, and it sounds silly, but literally from the moment you wake up, just start doing things different. If your normal habit is to start the coffee, let the dog out, go to the bathroom, let the dog in, listen to the news, and then take a shower, you could do those same things, but do them in a completely different order and just see what shows up.
Yes.
It sounds so subtle, and yet it can change everything.
Yes.
Watching at the news a different time gives you access to different types of information or different people, right? Choosing to walk the dog at a different time, you might meet somebody completely different. I always giggle, like when I work with clients and they're like, oh, I haven't met my someone. And I say, well, switch it up. Walk your dog at a different time. Go to a coffee shop at a different time. Go to the gym at a different time. Do things different, because you're Tony Hsieh, he created the company Zappos, right? And in Zappos, they actually require their employees to park like 3 or 4 blocks away. And everybody thought that was so mean. And really what he was doing, when you hear him speak, he talks about creating opportunities for collision. And what he's trying to create opportunities for is, as you're walking from the parking lot over to the Zappos building, you may see a cute shop with something neat you want to purchase, or you go into the coffee shop because it's on your way, and you meet people while you're standing in line and maybe strike up a conversation or what have you. Like, it creates all of these opportunities for collision with like richness of your life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So RVing for you and I creates all these amazing opportunities for collision.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to tell you about. It's like when I got stuck in Asheville, I stayed at one of my daughter's friends' father-in-law's place, and I had an experience with him, like learned so much about him and his life and where he was, and realized like the things that I was supporting him with. I was like, I want to learn more about how to be an even greater support. And then I became a Ruddock Blueprint coach, right? Right after that experience.
It's
And like
not by accident.
without having it, we wouldn't even be here. You know,
Right.
like I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know any of the coaches I've shared. So like that what did you call it? The
Opportunities for collision.
yeah, opportunity for collision. It was perfect. You know, I think everything's going wrong because my plan got changed. We stayed in one place for 2 months, you know, like, but everything turned out perfectly, amazingly well. And it was an amazing opportunity for that. So that's,
You know, I often giggle, you know, this notion of a comfort zone. And we even have a version of that in the RV.
yeah.
Right? We make our plans. We know the RV parks we're going to go to. We maybe decide the routes that we're going to go. For many people, that's way outside their comfort zone. They can't even imagine that. And, you know, that's a certain level of uncertainty that we've learned to live with and get comfortable with. So that's a part of our comfort zone. But comfort zones in general are not actually comfortable if you think about it. Like if you really sit with it, they're not actually comfortable oftentimes because we sit there and there's always something else that we want to do or something else we want to engage in. But because we believe that it has to be this way, we miss out on those opportunities for collision, like those serendipitous moments. We miss out on it because we think that this is the way that it has to be. When if we took a moment and went, but is that true? That thing that I want to do out there, is it true that I can't do it? That it has to be this way, that it can't be that way? Is that really true? And I think RVing has, at least for me, I won't speak for you, but I suspect it's the same. RVing for me has gotten me in the habit of asking, is that really true? Or do I get to have all of it? Right? Do I get to go, like last year I went and played in Costa Rica for 2 weeks. I went to Hawaii for a week. Like I did all of these things that when you think about living in an RV full time, you don't think about international travel as well. You know, and yet I get to do it all. If I really want to, I can figure it out, you know, because I'm willing to ask, is it really true? Is it really true that I can't travel and be in the RV?
Yes. Yeah.
It's, yeah. God, I love this life.
Yeah, I'll say that RVing helped take me out of my comfort zone. At the point when I started RVing, I was like deep in, my daughter was 5. So I was deep in like, at that point, still trying to wrap my head around PTSD and anxiety that I had from the military and the childhood experience. And like I was in my house, I had a go bag all the time. I was like, if I just have an RV, then I can just go all the time.
That is your go bag.
It was like, I'm going to have a house go bag. And so like I set it up in that space of like, I just have to be ready to go and be. And then as I started the travel and the things started to shift and change and seeing other parts of the world and like coming out of the comfort zone that I had, it started to really shift. Like my horizons opened up so much more and realized the world wasn't as scary as I made it out to be outside of my safe little home here. So that was like huge.
Yeah. First, thank you so much for your service. And I'm sorry that you are one of the unfortunate ones that have experienced trauma there.
Thank you.
I think we all leave the military with trauma.
Something. Mm-hmm.
And how beautiful is it that you took your trauma and turned it into your own treasure?
Yes.
You know, and created this beautiful life, that the trauma actually gets to become a gift.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that. And it is, our traumas can truly be that gift, right? Like, what is it that was there? What can be the gift in it? Like every time now, I didn't have that concept before, but
Right.
now every time something happens,
in the middle of it, it's hard to see it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But every time now something happens, I'm like, okay, what is the gift in this? How can I become greater from this experience?
Everybody write that question down. It's freaking fantastic.
How can I become greater from this experience? Is that the one? Yeah, like what can I take from this to learn and grow from?
And you know, we've been talking about RVing, like, so what is this here to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
What can I learn from this? Where's the juice here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know it's a shitty situation. Okay, great. And how can I wring the juice out of this? How can I make this awful thing that just happened totally awesome?
Yes. And like it's so hard in the moment when you're in the moment, right?
Right.
And if you just have that,
if
like,
you just take a breath,
right.
out of this, take a breath, find a moment for some presence, fuel yourself a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
come back in here. This is where the juice of life is.
Yes. And then what can I do? Now there's like that being part, right? We're being in that moment, being with ourselves. And then it's like, okay, now that I'm here, what do I do with this?
What do I get to do with this?
What do I get to?
What do I get to create? What do I get to experience? Who do I get to know even better?
Yes.
Because I got out of my own friggin' way and chose to be the best version of me in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's talk about get tos and have tos.
Yes, let's! It's like one of my favorite subjects.
Right. I just had this conversation with a client. Like, I have to do this. I have to do this. I'm overwhelmed. I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to go protest. Like, I have to go. What's the other thing right now? Like, I have to
Post on social media.
I have to wear my mask.
That I'm anti-racist. Yeah. I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Insert whatever.
Yeah, or you know, I have to because I'll be seen a certain way.
Ooh, say again.
I have to because I'll be seen a certain way. I have to because this won't get done if I don't do. But like,
I have to work extra hard from home so my boss thinks that I'm being productive and doesn't fire me. I have to create these amazing lessons plans for my children that are now homeschooled so that I can be the mom of the year.
I have to entertain my children all the time.
Mm-hmm. I have to lose 10 pounds while I'm at home for COVID because I have no excuse anymore not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can insert a lot of have tos. And
yeah.
You know, when I hear have to, I hear a lot of should.
Mm-hmm.
It gets very shouldy.
Mm-hmm.
Piles of should everywhere. And if you're not paying attention, you're stepping in should and you're tracking it all through your life. Should in your relationships, I should call them. Meanwhile, you have no bandwidth to do so, but I should call them. So I'm going to call them. Mm-hmm. It doesn't actually like produce a quality conversation when you do that.
Right.
But I should, so I'm gonna, right? I should get my friend or my family member this extravagant, expensive gift for their birthday, even though I am financially struggling,
Mhm.
right? I should create the lesson plans, even though it means I'm going to screw up a project at work or it's going to deplete me to do so. Like, do you hear, like, all this should, I should, the one that really bothers me right now is people that believe that they should create a side gig, like a business from home. They should do that. And they should lose weight during this COVID thing because they're home.
Yeah. They should fill up every ounce of time and space that they have doing things, because just relaxing in that space is so wrong.
Right.
They should.
And my question is, where's the should coming from? Is it coming from desire? Like, I desire to improve my health and fitness, and so I'm going to lean into that during this time? Or is it coming from concern about others on the outside looking in and judging you?
Mm-hmm.
That somehow, now that you're home, that, so you've regained your commute time, and so now there's other things that you should do with that time, right? Based on what others think, believe, project, judge, and
Just outright say you need to be doing this. Yeah.
and I invite everybody to come back in here, take a breath, come back in here and ask yourself, what is it that you really want for yourself? What is it that you really desire for yourself? What do you believe? Who do you wish to be? You've heard both of us say it a lot in this call. Like, who do you wish to be in the world? And I'm positive that's not a stressed out person.
Mm-hmm.
Positive that's not the thing you desire for yourself. So, Kyle Cease often talks about becoming the person for whom it's normal to insert the blank. In this case, how do you be the person for whom it's normal to be completely peaceful all day long?
Mm.
And how does that roll out in all the different areas? How do you be the person that you desire to be versus should all over yourself? It feels so shouldy. It feels so bleh.
I love how you're using that analogy.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And then,
should is
when
just
you take the should off, once you take the should off, what's there? What is the stuff that you get to do?
desire.
Like,
You
I desire this. Today I get to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start seeing like, oh, I have to do that. Wait, what do I get to do? Because I don't want to do that. What could I do that makes me happy?
Right. What brings you joy? What lights you up? Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
I could talk all day long about it, so I'm just going to slow my roll.
Right? So like when we start to notice I get to do this and I get to do that, then we'll start to notice the things that actually aren't feeding us, and we can let those things slough off slowly, and they naturally will. It's just the shift in the languaging, just noticing.
Right. And I often encourage people to look for alignment. Mm-hmm. Like, let's get rid of the should. Let's clean up the yard, right? Let's get rid of all the should so nobody can accidentally step in it. And look for the alignment. Who are you? Who is the person that you wish to become? And sometimes it's really hard to find because our society, our culture has a lot of should in it. And when you play that game, it's really easy to lose yourself and forget who you are. And I always say that a good coach helps you remember. It's not about telling you what to do. It's about helping you come back into you and remember who you are, helping you clear the should, helping you clear the cloud cover. And that's what good friends do too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they help you clear all that out and hold the space for you to stand up and be the best version of you. The one, like, you can see when somebody's being authentically themselves. And you can see when they're like a little shut down.
Yeah,
Exhausted.
the you that's you and doesn't have everybody else on top of
Right.
you.
Right. There's just this light that shines from within all of us when we're getting to be that person. You know, and if you can't remember what that looks like, go to a playground and watch little kids like just running around in circles for the sake of running in circles, because that is what makes them happy in that moment.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not saying you got to go run around in circles, you know. Maybe that is what that means for you. I don't know. But
I do love taking my daughter to the jump parks. But I learned from her how to play again. So that's true. Go watch children.
That's amazing. How fun.
Yeah.
How fun. I just chase after my dogs at the dog park. I don't have kids, but
dogs do the same thing. They're not worried.
Totally.
Oh, what does that dog think over there about how I just peed on this tree right now?
I do not care. I'm going to squat and poop right here.
Right? My spot. My spot for a minute.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so much fun and so much juice. I want to ask, I know that you have your community, Unstuck Yourself.
Right. I have a free group called Unstuck Yourself. Anybody can come join. Come play.
Yeah, go play.
If you want. But we're easy to find.
Great. So, and I think that you have a one-day workshop coming up.
I do. It's going to be fun. That's going to be on July 18th. It's a full day workshop. And it's basically to help you, kind of what we've been talking about, most of it, right? Helping you discover what is and is not in alignment for you. And where is your energy best spent, right? Because a lot of times when people come to me and they're in this overwhelmed and exhausted space, right? I'm going to be doing a webinar to help you really dive deeper into that breath, presence, and cup filling, and understanding how to use that tool really well, with a lot of really practical things on how to use that. That one is on, I think I put it on the 14th. Let me double check. Yes, July 14th. So that's 5 p.m. Mountain, so that's 4 p.m. Pacific, so 4 to 6 Pacific, or 5, 6, 7 to 9 Eastern. I like to translate for time zones. That's going to be on July the 14th, that free webinar. And then on the 18th is going to be a full day workshop. And in that workshop, I'm going to help people develop their own dashboard for knowing, like having that deep knowing that they're in alignment. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people also, when they, are in that overwhelmed and exhausted state, they tend to be overgivers, mm-hmm. right? They give so much of themselves that they deplete. And I'm going to be sharing not only the dashboard to help you come into alignment and get more clarity on where to share your energy, but there's also an activity that will help you have some discernment around who you're interacting and who you're spending time with and who you're giving energy to notice, like, where is your energy best spent? Mm-hmm. It's going to be awesome. If you did just these 2 workshops and never, ever another coaching thing on the planet ever, well, it's my own workshop, so I realize I'm biased, but man, will life change. Like these are the tools that I share with my clients that just create like the biggest shift. When you get it, you understand it, you apply it, and you really show up for it this way in your life, game changer.
Yeah. So
One day
go ahead.
workshop is only $49. Easy piece.
Awesome. So what I was going to say is that, I know that you have a military background, and so I know that the tools that you have to share, like super pragmatic, to the point, and can be game changers. Like I already know, because when I do the tools, I'm like,
Well, I don't know about you, but I get irritated when I go to a workshop or I read a book or, I go to a seminar and they give me all this great knowledge and they're like, well, I'll tell you how for another $5,000.
yes.
Oh, no.
No, tell me something I can do now.
Yes, I'm going to give you the information and the strategy on how you can implement it, because the implementation, that's where it's at.
Yeah. And thank you so much. You've already shared a lot. Like we talked about so many things that are already game changers. Breathe, right?
It's my favorite thing. I love it.
Yes, game changing. Breathe, fill up the cup, right? Become present. Should have clean the should off your lawn.
Clean it out. We don't need
pragmatic tools. Thank you so much. You spouted off a lot of times and numbers and things, and I already forgot.
I'll just put it in the group if that's okay.
Yeah, put it in the group for us to find it easily.
Yeah, we'll do.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks so much, Leah.
Thanks so much for having me. This was so much fun. We definitely got to do it again.
Yes, I agree. We could talk about so many more things.
Now, when do you get to Boulder?
I think right now I have a place October to May.
Oh boy, I might not be here anymore.
Yeah, but also trying to get there in August so she could do school. So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll be here.
Yay! We gotta have twinsy RVs.
Campfire.
Yes, and wine.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure, honey.